So, this is Jake and Julien.
What up?
We're here giving our very brief first impressions and general, impressions about Warriors Orochi 4. Koei Tecmo graced us with a review copy for Nintendo Switch.
Hit us up.
We're going to be talking about just very basic impressions. You know, we're under a pretty strict embargo, which ends on October 16th.
Yeah, we can't post gameplay or anything.
Nope. So what you're seeing on screen is footage from trailers and anything that Koei Tecmo themselves have released.
That's right.
So in Warriors Orochi 4, you take on the gods in the newest installment in the 1 versus 1000 action title. New to the series is additional magic attacks, where characters have access to a variety of different elemental attacks that will rip through the hordes of enemies and crowd the battlefield. So this game also has co-op, which seems really cool. Neither you or I have tried that out. We will be trying that out before we do a full review. Speaking of which, that will be out on October 16th, like I just said, and it will be in a slightly different format. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So,
hopefully.
Julien, you yourself have never really played any games in this series. And the Warriors Orochi series is, by the way, a mashup of Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors.
Right. Yeah, you're super wrong. I have played many Dynasty Warrior games. I used to be really into them on the Xbox 360. Okay. These type of games have been around for a while, and they're just like these massive battlefield simulators that pitch you or a team of your, like a small party of your characters, essentially against hordes and hordes of enemies. So there can be moments where you are fighting a group of hundreds of enemies on screen at one time, but the caveat to that is that they're usually very weak, very
little fodder.
Yeah, they're essentially fodder, and you pull off these crazy combos with your character to hack and slash, as it's called, and defeat many enemies at once. And all these games in the Dynasty Warriors series, in the Samurai Warriors series, generally follow the same structure, which is you're on a large battlefield map that has different corridors you go down, and you fight bosses along the way and mini bosses. It's all generally the same formula, the same structure, and it's a successful one. Hence why there's so many of these games, and it has branched out into other properties as well. We've seen recently, like Hyrule Warriors, Dragon Quest Warriors, and Fire Emblem Warriors. Yeah. Was it called Fire Emblem Warriors or Fire Emblem Heroes?
Fire Emblem Warriors. Fire Emblem Heroes is
okay. Yeah, the Warriors tag is the symbol that it's from this type of series.
So
from
just
this
to
type
put it
of game.
in a little bit of perspective, this is quite a bit outdated, but by 2011, Dynasty Warriors series as a whole sold 18 million copies. So it's definitely not a small game. And Dynasty Warriors 9 was just released February 13th of this year.
Yeah, they've been going hard with these games for a while, and I've dipped my foot into playing these every now and then. I remember one of the first games I had on the 3DS was a Dynasty Warriors game, or it could have been Samurai Warriors, I don't know. They might as well be the same games. Generally, I mean, they contain different characters, which is how you tell them apart. But with these Warriors Orochi games, it's a combination of the two, like you said. So it's the best of both worlds.
Something to note, so neither you or I are very well versed in the Warriors Orochi series, but something to note in this game that I believe is new is the inclusion of some Greek gods like Zeus, Athena, Loki, Ares, and Odin.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
When I first saw them pop up, I was taken aback because, to be honest, I didn't really do a lot of research on the game before we got the copy, because I don't really like to spoil things. I'll watch
I agree. I'm the same way.
Or something. But this game, I believe, has 175 different playable characters, which is just insane.
Yeah. No, it is crazy how many characters are in this game, and I'll say that you begin unlocking them at such a fast rate that it kind of was overwhelming, just because You start off with 3 characters, and then each mission that you beat, the missions can take in between 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes a little longer, but generally it's 10 to 15 minutes per mission. After you beat each mission, you unlock like 4 or 5 new characters, and that's a lot. And then you can immediately use them. So I immediately, started trying others out, and I already I think I've played 5 missions or something like that. I've already found a couple characters that I would see me playing a lot of, just because they're super fun to use. So yeah, tons of characters, tons of variety, which is this probably makes this Warriors Orochi game the biggest in this entire Warriors series.
Title, really, like if you're
for sure.
If you're a newcomer and you're looking at like all of the games that is, I guess, branched off from the series, like Hyrule, blah blah blah, you might of course be like, oh, Link, I'll get this one, or oh, Fire Emblem characters, I'll get this one. But personally, I could not get into those games really that well. I don't know why. Maybe I'll get into them again in the future. But this game already pulled me in, and I'm looking forward to completing it so we can do a review. I haven't had any issues with performance or anything. That's another thing that's kind of surprising, because as we know, the Switch isn't an incredibly powerful system, but with thousands of enemies not on screen but in the same area, it didn't seem to be chugging along or anything.
Yeah, and I was surprised when there was a Dynasty Warriors game on 3DS that ran exceptionally well and was able to have that many characters on screen, or have that many enemies on screen at one time. It's something that should be noteworthy in all of these games is the amount of enemies on screen. It's pretty cool to see that, and it runs great on Switch. I primarily played in handheld mode.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. You played handheld mode, and I played docked mode, and I didn't really notice any glaring issues at all. How about you on handheld?
No, it ran fine, and that's the test that every game on Switch should go through, is how does it run on either setup. And I haven't played docked, so I can't compare. I haven't visually seen the difference, but there was a little bit of slowdown I encountered in some areas when there's a ton of enemies and I'm utilizing some magic attacks that attack a ton of enemies at once. I noticed a bit of loss of frames, loss of the frame rate, but all in all, generally ran pretty well. These games aren't visually that impressive. They all, in order to put their the game's power into other, the visuals are not anything to write home about. They're kind of muddy in some areas, a little bit dark, but that's what you get when you need to simulate more characters, is you might dial back on other things like the visuals.
And that's not to say, like, I wouldn't say the game was bad by any means.
No.
It's especially the character, the main character in designs are really well done. The environments are, for the most part, pretty well done. There's quite a bit of variety. Sometimes you're inside, like, little buildings or little alcoves, I guess, and then other times you're just in massive open fields. But
right.
It's really satisfying, for me at least, to get my KO combo or my hit combo up, past 500 into 1,000 or something. It's just really satisfying to see that number grow.
For sure. I mean, that's what these games are all about, is the combos, and what they want this game to feel like is that satisfaction when you do unleash a massive combo on a group of like 100 enemies and you're attacking all of them at once, and then you eliminate all of them at once. It does feel very, very responsive and very satisfactory to do that.
Yeah.
And the problem, I think, and a big criticism with these type of games is monotony, is that that over time that these games can wear thin in terms of replayability, because you spend 2 hours essentially playing the same type of gameplay. It's just wave after wave of enemies, and you're slashing and you're hacking and you're unleashing magic attacks. You know, in the time I've spent so far, I haven't had a moment where I was getting bored or I felt that it was unnecessary what was happening. But again, I mean, this is a really long game. I think there's 70 missions. There's tons of stuff to do. So we'll see. I mean, longevity, I don't know if this is going to keep my attention, but that's what the review's for.
Yeah, well, something that I think you and I definitely need to put a bunch of time into is the co-op.
Oh yeah, we'll have to play that.
I believe the entire campaign is playable via co-op, and then you have
online co-op
mode. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, we'll definitely be testing that out along with you know, talking about the overall game in the full review, which will be coming out on Tuesday.
Yep, this was just a short impressions. So thanks for stopping by and checking out the video, and thanks again from Koei Tecmo for sending us a review code, and we'll see you back in the review.